All right, let's get it started. Thank you all for joining our Platform Privacy Academy session. Today is really excited about talking a little bit more around the access analyzer. That's the topic that most of our customer and partners really wanted to hear from us. Finally, we are here. Once again, thank you all for joining. The topic that we are going to cover today is really around ServiceNow Access Analyzer, particularly around what we have done in the past about some of the advanced feature and functionality and how it's evolving in the future releases as well. Next slide, Sanjita. So my name is Farkas Salim. I'm one of the product manager in platform privacy and security team. I've been with ServiceNow for almost 5 years. I covered a few different product areas like conversational interface in the past, like virtual agent, live agent, and NLU, as well as currently covering some of the platform security related products as well. With me today, Sanjita Medar, who joined as a guest speaker. Sanjita, would you like to give a little quick intro to the audience as well?
Yes. Hey everyone, I am Sanchita. I am the product manager for identity team. We are under the platform security. Super excited to be presenting Access Analyzer. We know this is a tool that's been spoken a lot by our customers. So thank you all for joining, and I'm looking forward to an engaging session.
Thank you, Sanjita. Awesome. So before, next slide, please. Before we go any further, I'm very excited to announce that this is the 13th sessions that we have covered so far under the ServiceNow platform privacy and security. So if you really wanted to learn about some other security and privacy related product offerings that we hosted in the past, please feel free to subscribe to our channel. So you either scan the code, which is on the screen, or you just literally just type ServiceNow community or ServiceNow platform privacy and security or ServiceNow Vault to YouTube, and then you literally just kind of will be directed to our community, our channel as well. So feel free to subscribe and become a member and ask a lot of questions there as well. Finally, so safe harbor notice as ServiceNow is a publicly trading company. So we are having some sort of forward-looking statement. So we might talk about some of the things which is would be in our upcoming releases or on the roadmap. So if you are looking for any of our product offerings or decide to purchase or make any final purchasing decision, please feel free to take a look at what's available in the store today. So the agenda that we're going to cover today, we have a little packed agenda as well, as this is the first the session that we are covering for Access Analyzer. So we're going to have overview of the Access Analyzer, and then we're going to have three different demos around three different key capabilities and features that we launched in our past releases, and then Sanjita might shed some lights around what's coming in our upcoming releases like Xanadu or beyond. And then we're going to go over some of our customer engagement channels, and then we're happy to address some of your questions as well. So with me today, another awesome colleague, Andrew Vitalo. He's already started typing in the Zoom chat window as well. If you have any questions, feel free to ask on the Zoom chat, and my colleague Andrew will address and answer those as well. So with that, Sanjita, I'm going to give it back to you, and then just feel free to kick it off.
Yep. So thank you, Furkat, and hello everyone again. Today we'll be talking about Access Analyzer tool. So what is Access Analyzer? Access Analyzer is a ServiceNow store app that helps admin evaluate permission for a selected user, a role, or a group on a particular resource like a table or a UI page. It was first introduced in Vancouver release, where we introduced evaluate access for a single user on a resource. This was introduced to cater to customer admin's need of understanding at a granular level what provided or blocked access to a user, role, or a group. The version 2 of Access Analyzer, this was released in Washington release, and this deals with access comparison. That is, compare user records and compare user access. Access comparison allows admin to compare the roles, groups, and also the access on a particular resource for two users. This also caters to the need of customer admin. When admin finds some access issue with the user, he usually compares the problematic user with his peers. This covers the overview of what Access Analyzer is. Please note before I move forward, please note that this Access Analyzer tool is currently only accessible to admin personas. Moving on, let's talk about Evaluate Access. That is the first feature of Access Analyzer that we introduced. In Evaluate Access, admin can evaluate permission for a selected user, role, or a group. The input here is the identity, like a user, role, or a group, along with the resource where we want to find the access, like a table, incident table, or a UI page. But how exactly does this work? This works by Access Analyzer taking the input of the user, like I said, and impersonating as the user to find out what is the access of the user on the selected resource. The result of this Access Analyzer is a visual representation of why user can or cannot access a resource even at an ACL level, just like you can see in this image here. In short, Evaluate Access gives customer an ability to quickly troubleshoot access issue for a user on a selected resource. Now let's look at this with a use case. The use case here is I want to understand what is the permission of able tutor on on a table, analytics task table. So Pulkat, can you confirm if you can see my tool?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I can.
Okay. So this is the homepage of Access Analyzer. I've already installed this tool on my instance, and this is how the home screen looks like. We have Evaluate Access, Compare User Records, and Compare User Access. These two features we'll be talking in the future slide. Let's concentrate on Evaluate Access, where I can evaluate permission for a selected user, role, or a group. I said my use case was to understand why able tutor, my user, what kind of access does able tutor have on analytics task table. So I select my task table, analytics task table. I can also select record and field, but for this example, let's go ahead with selecting the table and clicking on evaluate access. This is how the result looks like. We have a list of all the operation that can be performed on this table and what is the overall access of these different operation. So here in the example, I can see that this user has write operation on analytics task table, but does not have delete or does not have create operation. So if I want to understand why he does not have create operation, I can click on the operation itself. Clicking on the operation, I get that there is an ACL, Access Control Analytics tab task, which is blocked. Why is that blocked? That is blocked because at the role level. And the required role for this ACL to pass was Analytics Task Admin, which this user does not have access to. This is how I understand why this user, able tutor, does not have create option, cannot create any new records on analytics task table. This was about analytics. This was about evaluate access, where we understood why a user cannot perform certain operation like create on a selected table or resource. Moving on to compare user record. In compare user record, we let the admin can compare the static attributes of two users like user attributes, roles, or group. Here, the input is two users and the result is a visual representation of how the user details, roles, and groups of these two users differ. Now let's look at the demo for compare user record. And the use case here is I want to understand how the user details and role and group membership of two users, able tutor and alien motor, differ or are similar. So let's go to my tool. So I click on compare user record and select the two users. I said able tutor and alien Morton, and I want to see how their static attributes differ. I click on compare user record. So here the result has three tabs. Details, where I can see the comparative view of details of these two users. I can also filter on here by selecting a particular a particular user attribute like location or department, and I apply, and I can see how these two users department differ. So they belong to the same department, that is customer support, but their locations are a little different. I can see in the second tab, I can see that how the roles of these two users differ. So here I can see that one of the user has analytics workspace user role, whereas the other does not have access to this role. Here as well, I can filter on and search for a particular role like and if I want to see how the roles differ, I can see that. I can also, there's also an option to see only the difference between the roles of these two users by clicking on this and unclicking on this, unchecking this checkbox. That's about role. And the third tab is how the group membership of these two users differ. So I can see one of the user has access to analytics setting manager, whereas the other does not have access to this. This is about comparing the static attributes of these two users. Um, I will take a little pause here before I move on. So you guys, if you guys have any questions, we can add that. You can add them in the chat, and we'll try to answer. So I'll take a small pause. Moving on to compare user access. That's the compare user access was introduced in Washington as well. What is compare user access? In compare user access, admin can compare the user's access on a particular table or record or field. The input here is two users along with the table where we want to find the difference for these two users. But how does this work? Similar to evaluate access, here as well, we impersonate as these two users and try to find out what is the access of these two users on a selected table. The result, as you can see on the right side of this, right side, we have an image. We can see the visual representation of how access to a table, specifically, you can search for a field or a field on the table, differ for these two users. In short, comparison gives customer ability to quickly troubleshoot access issues by comparing the problematic user with his peers and finding out where the access is broken and how it can be fixed. So we can take a look at the demo for compare user access as well. Here, there is a case where these two users, Abel and Aileen, have similar job duties, but their access on incident table is different. Now let's understand how we can quickly understand why their access on incident table is different with the help of our tool. So let me search for compare user access. I said there are two users, Able Tutor and Aileen Morton. They belong to customer support department, but their access on incident table is different. Let me search for the table and click on compare user access. So compare user access gives you this is how the result look like, where I can see the different operation that can be performed on incident: read, write, create, delete, and all the other operation. And I see they have similar access across read, write, and create, but when it comes to delete on incident table, they have different access. Why is that? Let's click on the delete operation to understand. When I click on delete operation, I understand there is an ACL defined for this delete operation, which is passed for Aileen Morton, but it was blocked for Able Tutor. To understand why exactly, let me click on the ACL. So this is the ACL, and the ACL has four attributes: roles, security attribute, condition, and script. And we see at the role level, it was blocked for Able Tutor, but Aileen Morton was able to pass at the role and security attribute level. To understand what role gave access to Aileen Morton, what's the required role for this ACL? I clicked on a required role, and there's one required role, ITIL admin, which needs to be given access to if the user wants to perform delete operation on this table. there's this interesting feature where I can understand how user got access to this role by clicking on show role hierarchy. So here you can see that this is my user, Aileen Morton, who has access to ITIL admin role. And how did she get access to ITIL admin? That's through the membership of ITIL admin group. This is how Aileen Morton got access to. And whereas our able tutor user does not have this necessary role. So on comparing these two users, I understand they belong to the same department, that is customer support, but one user does not, that is able tutor, does not have ITIL admin. If he needs access to delete, he needs access to ITIL admin role. But how should he get access to ITIL admin role? He should get access to ITIL admin role via ITIL admin group, because when compared with Aileen got it in this way. This is what we understand with by comparing these two users. So all in all, um, yeah. So admin could quickly troubleshoot why these two users complain of different access on incident table, because they have different group membership. This this covers the compare user access demo. Moving on to the next slide, where I where so this takes us to the end of my presentation and my demo, where we saw Access Analyzer. Um, we saw how quickly customer admin can be self-served and have more agency over their roles and users and their access on the ServiceNow platform. We saw three use cases of Access Analyzer, along with uh, three features, that is evaluate access, compare user record, and compare user access with the help of use case and demo. But that's not all for Access Analyzer. We are also building something called as Access Simulator. What is Access Simulator? It helps admin to simulate and understand how access to a specific table would change once a role or a group is assigned or removed from the user. Admin can use Access Simulator before actually making changes to the group or role membership of the user. Please note that this feature is not live yet, and we are in the process of developing this feature. So yeah, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Over to you, Furkat.
Awesome, Sanchita. Thank you so much. That's a lot of features. Just I personally learned a lot around Access Analyzer as well. So if you all have any other questions around Access Analyzer, please feel free to type in the Zoom chat, and we're happy to address those. Um, while the team is asking a few questions, and just want to let you know that we are here talking about the Access Analyzer as part of our July's agenda. In August, we're going to be talking about June agenda, sorry. And then July, we're going to be talking about the access control, which is one of the on-demand topic that a lot of customers really wanted to learn around our access control. And in August, we're going to be talking a little bit more about platform encryption with other use cases as well. So what's available here for us to provide to you all? Just we have a few different just documentation and a messaging website that you feel free to either subscribe or just directly open by scanning the QR code here. First, I just talked about earlier before this presentation. Please feel free to become a member to our channel or subscribe to our channel by scanning the QR code. You will hear and learn a lot of information about our not only just security product offerings, but also from various products that we provide here at ServiceNow as well. And we have a documentation site. Either it's a product documentation related, where you can see learn a little bit more about the products and some of the details and instruction and implementation guide. But also you can learn a little bit more about the blog posts and articles and some other documents through our ServiceNow community or servicenow.com as well. And we have a platform privacy and security community site, so we can scan the QR code there as well, where you can see all the different new articles and some of the blog posts. And we literally can tell you some of our new product features and offerings and what's coming in our upcoming releases as well. So I'm just gonna pause here to give you all a little bit time to ask a few questions. If you have any questions, feel free to put on the Zoom chat. So one question that I see here is, Sanjita, is there a best practice or approach to using Access Analyzer in terms of troubleshooting steps?
Like I said, we can start with evaluate access, where we can understand at what level the access is broken. So if there's a user able tutor, we can go ahead with entering the able tutor. We can go ahead with evaluating access for that user, and then to understand how exactly he should get access to it, we can go ahead with comparing that user with his peers. So that will give us the answer of how he should get access to a certain operation on a table. So that's how we can do that.
Thank you. The second question is like, how does Access Analyzer evaluate access? Like, what is the mechanism for gathering the results?
So, like I said, we the input, that is a user, is taken, and we impersonate the Access Analyzer tool impersonates as that user, and goes and verifies what kind of access does this user have on a table once they impersonate. So there's impersonation which helps us understand what access this user actually has on the selected table. So yeah, that's the mechanism.
Yeah, good answer. And the last question that I see here is, are there use cases for Access Analyzer for developers? And could developers use it for testing access control implementation for apps?
Right, definitely they can. This is also one of our use case. But to have access to ServiceNow Access Analyzer, the user needs to have admin role. We are also exploring on how we can bring in other roles here. But yeah, having said that, right now only admins can use Access Analyzer tool. But in other prod and non-prod environment where developers also have admin access, we can have many developers use this tool to just give access, just to troubleshoot access on non-prod environment.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the questions I have so far. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to ask. Just gonna wait one more minute and then we will wrap it up. Thank you, Sanjita. I really appreciate it for preparing this presentation and giving extensive overview of what Access Analyzer really is. And once again, like just this is the first session that we have for Access Analyzer. And there's a lot to cover in this session, and hopefully we're gonna have one more session towards the upcoming releases to highlight some of the key features and functionality around Access Analyzer as well. All right, I do not see any other questions coming, and thank you so much, Andrew, for staying behind the scene and answer some of the questions through the Zoom chat as well. Thank you. I really appreciate it for your help. With that, we're going to conclude today's session around Access Analyzer, and thank you all for joining this session. And until next month, stay tuned. Bye-bye. Thank you, Sanjita.
Thank you everyone.